happy summer. I hope you're all enjoying spending lots of time outside playing with your friends and family. And this is also the perfect time for you to enjoy our special omnibus edition of Journey with Story, where you can listen to all of this month's episodes in one place. Oh, mums and dads, don't forget you can download some free colouring sheets to accompany each episode if you go to www.journeywithstory.com and click on the Become a Patreon orange tab. It's up there at the top of each page. And also, if you scroll right down, it's right there at the bottom of every page too. Thanks to all of you, our loyal Patreon subscribers. Your support means the world to us. Now, let's take an omnibus journey with Story. Now, let's take a journey with Why the Eagle Defends Americans. Many, many moons before the white man came, a little Indian boy was left all alone in the woods. It was back in the days when animals and men understood each other better than they do now. An old mother bear found the little Indian boy. She felt very sorry for him, and she told the boy not to cry, for she would take him home with her. She had a nice wigwam in the hollow of a big tree. Old Mother Bear had 2 cubs of her own, but she had a place between her great paws for a third. So she took the little papoose and she hugged him warm and close. She fed him as she did her own little cubs. Over time, the boy grew strong. He was very happy with his adopted mother and brothers. They had a warm lodge in the hollow of the great tree. As they grew older, Mother Bear found for them all the honey and nuts that they could eat. From sunrise to sunset, the little Indian boy played with his cub brothers. He did not know that he was different from them. He thought he was a little bear too. All day long, the boy and the little bears played and had a wonderful time. They rolled and tumbled and wrestled in the forest leaves. They chased one another up and down the bare tree. Sometimes they had a matched game of hug, for every little bear must learn to hug, and the one who could hug the longest and the tightest won the game. Old Mother Bear watched her 3 dear children at their play. She would have been content and happy, but for one thing, she was afraid some harm would come to the boy. Never could she quite forget the bear hunters. Several times they had smelled her tree, but the wind had thrown them off the trail. Once, from her bare tree window, she had thrown out rabbit hairs as she saw them coming. The wind had blown the rabbit hairs toward the hunters. As they fell near the hunters, they had suddenly changed into rabbits, and the hunters had given chase. Another time, Mother Bear tossed some partridge feathers to the wind as the hunters drew near her tree. A flock of partridges went whirring into the woods with a great noise, and the hunters ran after them. But on this day, Mother Bear's heart was heavy. She knew now the big bear hunters were coming. No rabbits or partridges could lead these hunters from the bear trail, for they had dogs with 4 eyes. Foxhounds have a yellow spot over each eye, which makes them seem double-eyed. And these dogs were never known to miss a bear tree. Sooner or later, they would smell it. Mother Bear thought she might be able to save herself and her cubs, but what would become of the boy? She loved him too well to let the bear hunters kill him. Just then, The porcupine, the chief of the animals, passed by the bear tree. Mother Bear saw him. She put her head out the bear tree window and called to him. He came and sat under the bear tree window and listened to Mother Bear's story of her fears for the boy. When she had finished, Chief Porcupine said he would call a special council, a special meeting of the animals, and see if they could not figure out a way how to save the boy. Now the chief had a big voice. As soon as he raised his voice, even the animals away on the longest trails heard him. They ran at once and gathered under the council tree. There was a loud roar and a great flapping of wings, for the birds came too. Chief Porcupine told them about the fears of Mother Bear and of the danger to the boy. "Now," said the chief, "which one of you will take the boy and save him from the bear hunters?" It happened that some animals were present that were jealous of man. These animals had held more than one secret council to plan how they could do away with man. They said he was becoming too powerful. He knew all they knew, and more. The beaver did not like man because men could build better houses than he. The fox said that man had stolen his cunning and could now outwit him. The wolf and the panther objected to man because he could conceal himself and spring without warning. The raccoon said that man was more daring and could climb higher than he. The deer complained that man could outrun him. So when Chief Porcupine asked who would take the boy and care for him, each of these animals in turn said that he would gladly do so. Mother Bear sat by and listened as each offered to take care of the boy. She did not say anything, but she was thinking hard for a bear. At last she spoke. To the beaver she said, "You cannot take the boy. You will drown him on the way to your lodge." To the fox she said, "You cannot take him. You would teach him to cheat and steal while pretending to be a friend. Neither can the wolf or the panther have him, for they are counting on having something good to eat. You, deer, lost your upper teeth for eating human flesh, and you too, you have no home, you are a tramp. And you, raccoon, I cannot trust, for you would coax him to climb so high that he would fall and die. No, none of you can have the boy." Now a great bird that lives in the sky had flown into the council tree while the animals were speaking, but they had not seen him. When Mother Bear had spoken, this wise old eagle flew down and said, "Give the boy to me, Mother Bear. No bird is so swift and strong as the eagle. I will protect him. On my great wings, I will bear him far away from the bear hunters. I will take him to the wigwam of an Indian friend, where a little Indian boy is wanted." Mother Bear looked into the eagle's keen eyes. She saw that he could see far. Then she said, "Take him, eagle. I trust him to you. I know you will protect the boy." The eagle spread wide his great wings. Mother Bear placed the boy on his back, and away they soared, far from the meeting in the woods. The eagle left the boy as he had promised, at the door of a wigwam where a little Indian boy was wanted. This was the first young American to be saved by an American eagle. The boy grew to be a noble chief and a great hunter. No hunter could hit a bear trail so soon as he, for he knew just where and how to find the bear trees. but never was he known to cut down a bear tree or to kill a bear. However, many were the wolf, panther, and deer skins that hung in his lodge. The hunter's wife sat and made warm coats from the fox and beaver skins which the hunter father brought in from the chase. But never was the hunter, or his wife, or his children ever seen to wear a bear skin coat. For somewhere, deep, deep down, in the place where wisdom grows, they knew they owed their lives to the kindness and compassion of a mother bear.
Let's take a journey with the foolish wife and her 3 foolish daughters. Once upon a time in Greece there was a priest who had a wife and 3 daughters. And I must tell you that all 4 women were an even match for each other in foolishness. One day, after she had been to church, the priest's eldest daughter went for a walk outside the town. Seeing a steep cliff, she at once went to sit on the rim of it. But then she began to weep and wail. "Alas, to think that I shall one day marry and have a little child. He will come here and look over this cliff, and then he will fall over the edge and get killed. Oh, alas, my darling, darling son." The other daughters were waiting at home for their sister, and at length one of them said, "Whatever can have become of our sister?" The second one decided to look for her older sister, whom she found sitting on a rock, lamenting loudly. "My dear sister," she cried, "what is the matter that you weep so loudly?" "Alas," replied her sister, "don't you see this steep cliff? When I am married and get a little nephew for you, he will come here one day and tumble down and be killed." The second sister sat down too, and she also began to cry. Lastly, the youngest sister came along searching for them and heard the same sad lament. And so later, the mother also came and joined the weeping sisters, bewailing the sad fate of her grandson. Now, the good priest ran out to look for his family. As you well know, he found them sitting in a row, weeping and wailing more and more loudly. When he asked why they should be crying in this fashion, they answered that the eldest daughter was going to marry. She would have a little baby, and he would tumble down over the steep cliff and be killed. The priest could only mutter, "Oh, bless me, bad luck take you all. How long am I to put up with your folly? Will you never learn sense? Heaven is my witness that I will get away from here and leave you to your fate, or you will be the death of me." So he returned home, packed up, and departed, saying, "If I chance to find any 3 who are worse fools than you, and if fortune is kind and you live, I shall return and see you again. Otherwise your eyes will lose their sight before you look on me once more." With these plain words, the priest set out on his journey. He walked on until he came to another village. Here, passing a house, he heard loud wailing. When he peeped in to see what was going on, he beheld to his surprise a woman with a child in a cradle, and over the cradle a hatchet was hanging. It was the woman who was crying so loudly. "Alas!" she wailed. "My baby will be killed by a hatchet. My baby will be killed by a hatchet." "My good woman," shouted the priest, entering the house, "whatever are you weeping about?" "You ask me why I am weeping? Don't you see, your reverence, that this hatchet will fall and kill my child?" So I'm not the only one," murmured the priest to himself, and aloud he added, "What will you give me to save the baby from so sad a fate?" "Oh, whatever you please, your reverence. I would offer you my very life, if it were my own to give." With that, the priest moved the cradle to another part of the room. There, good woman, now don't cry any more." From the happy woman and her husband, the good priest received a handsome gift, and then he started on his travels. Soon he came to another house where a large crowd was gathered. More wailing and more loud shouts. The priest was naturally curious, so he drew close. At the door stood a tall man who was to go in and be married, but the door of his bride's house was so low that it appeared he could not enter. Everyone offered advice. "He could cut off his feet," said one. And another advised that he could cut off his head. These seemed the only possibilities. At this, the priest began to shake with laughter. "My fellows," he said, having some difficulty trying to hide his amusement, "what ails you that you stand here in a crowd shouting?" When they told him the reason for their clamouring, the priest asked, "What will you give me if I get this good man into the house?" "Take what you will, only do us this favour." The priest thereupon took hold of the man's head. "Stoop a bit," he directed. "Now a little more, a little more." And he repeated this until the man was inside the door. "There now," he said, "lift up your head again." And after this, as often as you go in and out, you must do the same. Do you understand? Since he was a priest, he then married the bride and groom and was off again on his way. Only a bit further on, he met an old woman washing a sow, that's just a female pig, with great vigour. She proceeded to deck the animal with gold and silver spangles in preparation for a wedding. She begged the priest to lead the sow to the wedding, saying she was too old to travel. "I'll pay you well for the trouble," the woman said. Such silliness the priest was willing to turn to his own advantage, so he agreed to regard it as a favour to drive the sow ahead of him. As soon as he had turned the corner, he stripped the sow of her gold and silver ornaments. Thus laden, the priest returned to his wife. "I thought," said he, "that there could be none so foolish as you in all the world. But I have found that there are others who surpass you. I shall keep my word. Henceforth, I shall put up with you for better or for worse." With the profits of his journey, the priest provided handsome dowries for his daughters. And although his wife behaved foolishly from time to time, he lived happily with her forever after. Now, let's take a journey with the tiger and the rabbit. Once a hungry old tiger was walking through the woods looking for something to eat. By chance, he came upon a baby rabbit. The old tiger's eyes glistened to see such a juicy morsel. "I'm going to eat you up," he told the rabbit. The baby rabbit, though very small, was a clever fellow. He coolly answered, "Just wait, Mr. Tiger. I'm still too young and small to make a good meal. I have something much tastier for you. I shall give you some rice cakes. When you toast them over a fire, they are really delicious." As he said this, the rabbit stealthily picked up 11 small white stones. He showed them to the tiger. The greedy tiger became very interested. "But," he said, "how do you eat these?" The rabbit answered, "Here, I'll show you. You toast them over a fire until they are red hot, and then you eat them in one gulp. I'll go and find some firewood so that you can have some right away." The rabbit gathered together some twigs and sticks and started a fire. The tiger put the 11 stones on the fire and watched them toast. When the stones were getting hot and red, the rabbit said, "Mr. Tiger, wait a while. If you put soy sauce on the cakes, they will taste even more delicious. I shall get some for you. You must wait now and don't eat any while I am gone." "Let's see. There are 10 rice cakes, aren't there?" So saying, the baby rabbit skipped into the woods and ran away. As the stones reddened with the heat, the tiger began licking his lips in anticipation. He started counting what he thought were rice cakes. 1, 2, 3. "Why," he said in surprise, "there are 11 cakes, not 10. He started counting them over again, but no matter how many times he counted, there was always one too many. The baby rabbit said there were 10. If I ate one, he wouldn't know the difference, the tiger said to himself. So he quickly took the reddest one from the fire, popped it in his mouth, and gulped it down greedily. But it was so hot, so very, very hot. The tiger not only burnt his mouth and tongue, but his stomach as well. He squirmed with pain, he moaned and groaned and rolled all over the ground. All of which served the old tiger right for being so greedy. It was some time before he could eat anything again. One day, much later, the tiger met the baby rabbit again. "Say you bad rabbit, what a time you gave me the other day. I'll not let you go this time. Now I'll really eat you up." And the tiger's eyes burned with anger. But the baby rabbit did not look a bit frightened. With a smile, he answered, "Don't be so angry, Mr. Tiger. Please listen to me. I have found a way to catch hundreds and thousands of sparrows. All you have to do is to keep perfectly still with your mouth wide open. The sparrows will come flying right into your mouth and make a nice feast for you." The old tiger licked his lips and asked, "Oh, is that so? What else am I supposed to do?" "Oh, it isn't difficult at all. All you need to do is to look up at the sky and keep your mouth open. I'll chase the sparrows out of the bamboo thicket into your mouth." Once again, the old tiger did as he was told. The baby rabbit hopped into the bamboo thicket and set fire to a pile of dry leaves and twigs. The sound made by the burning leaves and twigs was just like the fluttering of thousands of sparrows. The tiger, meanwhile, kept gazing up at the sky, his mouth wide open. "Why, it does sound as if the birds are flying this way," he thought, and he kept right on staring up at the sky, his mouth wide open, waiting for the sparrows to fly into it. From a distance, the baby rabbit cried, "Shoo, shoo, shoo!" pretending he was chasing a multitude of sparrows. "Mr. Tiger, Mr. Tiger, a lot of birds are flying your way now. Don't move, just wait a little longer." So saying, the baby rabbit scampered away to safety. The fire came closer and closer to the tiger, and the noise became louder and louder. The tiger was sure the birds were coming his way, and he patiently waited. Soon the noise was all about him, but not a single sparrow popped into his mouth. "That's funny," thought the tiger, and he took his eyes from the sky and looked around him. To his surprise, there was one great ocean of fire all about him, as far as he could see. The tiger became frantic with fear as he fought his way through the burning woods. Finally, he managed to come through alive, but his fur was all sizzled black, and his skin looked like newly tanned hide. It was soon winter. Once again, the tiger became ravenously hungry. As he stalked through the forest looking for food, he came to the bank of a river. There he saw his old friend, the baby rabbit, eating some vegetables. The tiger roared angrily at the rabbit. "How dare you fool me about the sparrows? I won't let you get away with anything this time. I will eat you up for sure." He ground his teeth and ran up to the rabbit. The rabbit smiled as usual and said, "Hello, Mr. Tiger. It's quite some time since we last met, isn't it? Look, I was just fishing with my tail in the river. I caught a big one and it was delicious. Don't you think river fish are very tasty?" The hungry tiger gulped with hunger and said, "You were fishing with your tail? Show me how it is done." "It isn't very easy," the rabbit replied, "but I'm sure you'll be able to do it. All you need to do is to put your tail in the water and shut your eyes. I shall go up the river a little and chase the fish this way. Remember, you mustn't move. Just wait a little and you'll have many fish biting at your tail." The old tiger did exactly what the rabbit told him. He put his tail into the river, closed his eyes, and waited. The rabbit ran up the riverbank and hopped about here and there, pretending to chase the fish down to where the tiger was waiting. The winter day was beginning to end, and the water became colder and colder. "The fish are beginning to swim your way, Mr. Tiger," the rabbit shouted. "They will be biting on your tail any minute. Don't move." Then the rabbit ran away. The river began to freeze over slowly. The old tiger moved his tail a wee bit. It was heavy. "Ah, good, I must have caught a lot of fish on my tail. Just a little while longer and I shall have a good catch," he told himself. He waited quietly and motionless until midnight. "Now I shall have a lot of succulent fish to eat," he thought. So he tried to pull his tail out, but it wouldn't move. What had happened? Why, his tail was frozen tightly in the ice. "Oh, I've been tricked again by that rabbit," moaned the tiger. But it was too late to do anything. When it became light, the villagers came to the river and found the old tiger trapped in the ice. Thus, the greedy old tiger was finally caught and taken away. that was one tiger who never ate another rabbit. Now let's take a journey with There Is No Such Thing as a Secret, folktale from Thailand. Before we begin, there's one word in this that you might not know, and the word is wat, and it simply means a temple or a monastery. The king of the country should have been the happiest man in the world. His country was at peace. The paddies produced large quantities of rice, and the royal astrologer predicted great good fortune. To make matters even better, a white elephant had been discovered at the beginning of the king's reign. With all this good fortune, the king should have smiled all day long. But to tell the truth, and you should always tell the truth, the king was miserable. He never, ever smiled. Only one person in the kingdom knew why the king was sad. This man was the king's personal barber. The barber had been sworn to secrecy, and he kept the secret very well. So well, in fact, that no one even knew he shared the king's secret. Each day the king looked more worried and depressed. The people in the court began to talk about their Majesty's sad face. Some thought he had a grave illness, but the royal physician said, "He is as healthy as a water buffalo." Others thought the king was worried about the country becoming poor, but the royal treasurer said, "We have more wealth than the kingdom of China. Our royal treasury has chests full of jewels. Our fields are full of rice, and our seas are full of fish." Some said the king's many wives did not love him, but all the royal wives said, "We adore our noble king." Everyone knew the king had a secret worry, but no one knew what it was. One day, the king's faithful barber became very ill. The king needed a haircut, so a substitute barber was found. The new barber was excited as a monkey with a handful of bananas. He had never served royalty, and the thrill of cutting the king's hair was almost more than he could bear. He carefully washed his comb, polished his scissors, and wrapped them in a clean white towel. He skipped and sang all the way along the road to the palace. As soon as the barber arrived, the king himself swore the new barber to secrecy. He said, "You must not tell anyone about anything you might discover today." The substitute barber had one terrible fault. He could not keep a secret. Everything he did and knew gushed out in a fountain of conversation. The barber was aware of his weakness, but the honour of cutting the king's hair was a rare privilege. So he took the vow and sincerely meant to keep it. While he was cutting the king's hair, he became aware of something very strange. He said, "Your Majesty, now I know why you are sad. You should not let such a little thing trouble you." "I cannot talk about it," said the king. "Barber, you must keep my secret." The poor barber hurried home with an uncontrollable desire to tell someone about the king's secret. He could not sleep. He could not eat. He refused to talk to anyone. The need to share the secret started to grow like a swelling balloon inside him. Finally, he could not bear the torture any longer. He hurried from his house and began looking for a lonely place where he could whisper the secret without having anyone hear him. He rowed to the middle of the river, but to his dismay there were fishermen all around him. He walked as far away as he could from the city and wandered on the paths between the rice paddies. But to his dismay, there were farmers all around him. He went to the Wat, but to his dismay many others had come to the Wat, and there were people all around him. The secret was about to burst. The barber was desperate. He ran as fast as he could for as long as he could, and then fell on his face in the tall, wet grass. When he had rested for a few moments, he rose to his feet and discovered that he was alone in the king's royal forest. Right beside him was a hollow tree. "This is just the right kind of place. No one can hear me here," he said. The barber wriggled into the hollow tree and shouted out the secret as loudly as he could. No person heard him, but every grain of wood in the tree absorbed the king's personal secret. The barber wriggled out of the tree and sighed with relief. He skipped all the way home, feeling as though he was as light as a butterfly and as free as a breeze. It was indeed a wonderful day. Not long after this, the royal drum fell apart. It was very old and had had constant use. Each hour the royal servants had beat the drum to tell the passing of time. If there was anything the palace needed, it was a sturdy drum. The royal drum makers went into the forest and selected a tree with fine wood. By coincidence, the very tree they selected was the barber's hollow tree, and every grain of wood in this tree had absorbed the king's personal secret. The drum makers cut down the tree and had the royal elephant haul it into the courtyard. There they made a beautiful drum. They carved intricate designs on it and polished it all around. Then they selected the finest oxhide to cover the open end of the drum. When the palace officials saw it, they said, "Let's invite everyone to see and hear this fine drum. Our king looks so glum. Perhaps the new drum will cheer him up." The royal astrologers decided upon the proper day for the celebration. All the important people were invited to come. When the great day arrived, a huge crowd gathered in the courtyard. Everyone waited expectantly to hear the boom boom of the new drum. But the new drum did not say boom boom boom. The drum said, "The king has moles on his head. The king has moles on his head." It bellowed forth the king's very own personal secret. A boy in the crowd began to giggle. Other people felt like laughing, but they did not dare to smile. Everybody looked at the king. Now they knew why he had been so worried. The king frowned and looked very cross. "Bring the substitute barber here," he shouted. The barber's comb and scissors clicked in his pocket as he stood there trembling in front of the king. "Barber, did you tell my very own personal secret to the tree?" The barber nodded and told the truth. "You should always tell the truth, you know." "Release him," said the king. "Let this be a lesson to all of you." The crowd waited anxiously to hear their king explain. He said, "Do not try to hide a blemish. No one person is perfect, and there is no such thing as a secret." The great drum roared. "The king has moles on his head." "The king has moles on his head." The king nodded in agreement, and then he began to smile. His eyes began to sparkle, and his face was bright with happiness. The king was happy now because he had absolutely nothing to hide. Everybody knew his secret.
I hope you enjoyed this special playlist. Be sure to send us your drawings at www.journeywithstory.com. Click on the contact and fill in the form there and attach your drawing. Cheerio then. Join me next time for Journey with Story. Music and post-production was by Colette Jonas.